sing. Coast to coast, coast to coast. Yeah, we stand together, one big family now and forever. We've got a
I started with Coast to Coast in May of 2020. I was recruited to come here and drive the big yellow limousines that are outside. So I was just a driver. That's all I did. They were like, hey, drive us here, drive us there, watch the bathrooms, keep your mouth shut, look pretty. And I was like, I can't do that last one. So that's what I was. Huh?
I thought it was to keep the mouth shut you couldn't do.
Not either. I came on as just a driver, and I remember our first trip that I went on was to Roebuck State Center, which I'm sure most of you have either been to or heard of. And I was told, hey, just watch the bathrooms. That's it. And me, on one hand, I am down for that. Sitting down, just chilling, completely down for that. But on the other hand, when I was sitting there and I was watching the kids play and skate, you had kids running around, you had kids over here struggling to put on their skates, something in me just couldn't just keep sitting there. So I got up, I walked over, I started helping kids put on their skates. I started watching kids on the skate floor, and that was my mistake because I think that's when they noticed me and then they got me. But no, I looked for an opportunity because I wanted to do more. I wanted to do more than just sit there. So on this job as a counselor, you do have the things that you have to do. You do have to sit there. You do have to watch a room. You do have to watch the kids eat, lunch. Sometimes you will have to stand by bathrooms. But it's those moments where those are your duties, those are what you're supposed to do. Obviously, you want to cover those, but you also want to look for those moments to where you can develop those relationships with these children, where you can step in, where you can do more. One thing that you have either learned about me if you work at the Taylor site with me, Team Taylors, go Taylors, or that you will learn about this summer is I never foresaw myself being a manager or being in leadership. I drove a school bus and I helped teach fourth grade right down the road, if anyone's familiar with District 5 down there at River Ridge Elementary School. I just thought I was I'm just that guy. I just do what they tell me to and that's it. But over the past few years, the Lord has really been speaking life into me. He's been speaking His plan for my life into me. And one thing that I'm a firm believer in is that everybody, regardless of how you look, what you do, where you come from, every single person, and some of you have heard me say this to you, every single person brings something to the table. Regardless of if you're shy, if you're awkward, if you're outgoing, if you're outdoorsy, if you're like me and you love being inside because it's a little hot outside, everyone brings something to the table. Every single one of you here, if you're like, man, I don't know what I'm doing here, this seems like a lot, do I really want to work with kids? You have something that the Lord has instilled in you that nobody else can take away, that you're going to bring to that table, and that's going to help us all feast. Us as counselors, our organization, our children, every single person. So, there's a few things that go into being a counselor. So, the first one we're going to talk on is building self-esteem. We're only going to talk a little bit on this today, and that's because y'all are so lucky you get to hear me get up again tomorrow and talk more in depth about self-esteem. And I find it funny the one guy with very low self-esteem talks about self-esteem. But really, that's what you want to build, not only within yourself, but within our children. Some of these kids, they've never been to a summer camp before. Some of these kids are terrified. I remember, was it yesterday, Miss Hope? We had a parent just show up who had signed their child up for summer camp. And they walked in and the parent had some questions and everything. And the kid just was like this, just looked terrified. They're in a whole new place around people they don't know. And the more that we spoke to them, the more that we got to tell them about camp, they opened up a little bit. And by the end, the kid was like, yeah, this is I'm coming here. Yeah, video game room, I got this. So they opened up. So what you want to do is you want to build not only that self-esteem within children, but that safe place within children. You want to give them the praise. Hey, you did a great job. Hey, if they threw 3 chairs, good job not throwing 4. You want to find something to praise them for. Even if a child acts up all day long, I guarantee you there is one thing that they've done worth praising them for. And if you can't find it, it's honestly probably because you didn't look hard enough. And it's hard. Sometimes we focus on the chairs being thrown, the oh my God, didn't I tell you 5 times to sit down and stop talking? We focus on that so much that we forget that there is 1 or 2 or 3 things that these children do that we can praise them for, that we can say, hey, yeah, you struggled during chapel, but when we were in the video game room, Justin, you helped me put up them chairs. Thank you. You know, or Jada Michelle, you just threw all the paper around the craft room and did it, but when you went to leave, you went by every single counselor and said goodbye. Thank you. That's awesome. So, you, in a sense, want to be a child yourself. One thing about me is and for those of you that know me, I'm a very awkward person. I do not do well socially unless I get to know people. I'm very awkward, very reserved. That's just how I grew up. But once I get to know you, I love talking to people. I love getting to know about people. But the one thing I love about working with children is I don't have to deal with adults. I don't have to go and deal with them and all their, them being mean and cruel and just ugly to people. I myself can be a kid. And that's essentially what you can be as a counselor. You can be a child yourself. These kids are not here to, some of them do, but these kids are not here to talk about politics. They're not here to talk about, the economy. They're not here to talk about all these other things that we're bogged down with, taxes, everything. If you work at Taylor's, I make the joke all the time, all the taxpayers in the room, referring to the adults. These kids don't have to worry about these issues. This is also a time that you don't have to worry about these issues. You can be a child with these campers, have fun with them, play with them. If they're outside playing kickball, go up and, hey, let me kick this turn. I'm going to kick. Watch out, everybody, watch out. Boom. Does that mean you have to play the whole game? Probably not, because if you're playing the whole game, you might miss somebody body slamming somebody off the roof over there. But step in there for, hey, let me kick. You got this. Or trust me, there are some kids that don't want to kick. Some kids that kick right there. Say, hey, you want me to kick for you? I got this. Just have fun with them. Step in. Find those moments where you can play with them. The other thing is, again, they're children. We don't want to put them down. We want to help lift them up. So you need to watch the words you use, the names you use. One of the big things I say at Taylor's, the kids like to make fun of me essentially over a plethora of things. But then I'll say, man, y'all are just a bunch of haters. Y'all just hating on me because I'm so cool, and stuff like that. So there are some things that you can say to kids that's like, to have fun with them. Obviously, you never want to call them names like, ooh, that haircut. You don't do that. Ooh, we didn't shower today. Ooh, God, this is kind of smelly. You don't want to point out the things to children that are out of their control. Children are children. They're going to be smelly. They're going to be mean. They're going to be upset. They're going to be grumpy. We're going to get into a little bit tomorrow in self-esteem about the condition of things. That is the condition of children. They are these things. They can't help these things. They need help with these things. So we don't need to point out things to, hey, 4 eyes if someone's wearing glasses or something like that. Or, hey, tubby, if they're a little bigger around the waist, and Lord knows I'm one of them. But we want to make sure we don't put them down or call them names. We want to lift them up, okay? And also, like me, I was a very shy kid growing up. I'm a very shy 28-year-old man. I'm not afraid to admit that. I love when I'm at some place new and I'm just sitting there like, oh God, someone would be like, hey, how's your day going? Because then I'm like, okay, that just broke the barrier down. Now I can talk to somebody. I'm not all mush mouth. I'm not sitting there doing, so I can finally talk to somebody. So look for those campers, because there will be those campers who just sit quietly, or they'll be way over here while everyone else is playing. Look for those campers. One thing that campers love to do, and trust me, my girls at Taylor's and Mr. Ethan can tell you, is the kids love to help me with snack bar. I can't tell you the amount of kids that ask me every day to help with snack bar. Look for those campers that don't mind being a helper. Maybe they don't want to play a game, but maybe they want to help you sort of watch the game. Maybe they want to help you by holding something. Maybe they want to help you by just passing stuff out. That is what they're looking for. They're looking for that connection, for that wall to come down, and so that they can open up. So just remember that. Look for the opportunities to build them up. And like I said, not that we're glancing past self-esteem, but we are going to spend a big chunk tomorrow on it and get more in depth with that. But just remember that. How to talk to a kid. Obviously, I'm a little overweight and I got bad knees and a bad back. But still, when you talk to children, you want to get down to their level. I was a school bus driver. here in District 5. It's funny, this red light that's right out there, my bus route, if y'all are familiar with Beach Springs in the area, before they became a middle school, they were the intermediate school. I drove 5th and 6th graders. My bus route came right through this intersection. Before they did all the I would sit at that intersection 10 minutes every day. But something when I became a bus driver, I was like, how am I going to interact with these kids while I'm driving a 40-foot bus, and kids are screaming and yelling. The guy that trained me to get my CDL, his name was Derek Jackson, told me something that stuck with me, not just in a bus sense, but I can relay it into a sense of being now a director. He told me, when you're loading at a school and you're sitting down in the seat, you're sitting right here, the kids are walking up the steps to get on the bus, he told me, stand up. I was like, okay, stand up, okay. Because he said, if you're sitting down in that seat, and these 5th and 6th graders, and I'm sure most of you know 5th and 6th graders, how they can act. When they get on the bus, they're automatically bigger than you. And I was like, bigger than me? I mean, I'm north of 200 pounds. But what that means is they're already standing over you. So that you are automatically not on the same level as the child. The child now just cognitively can believe that, hey, I'm over you now. And not that they would put on that facade, but in your brains it clicks like, oh, I'm standing over everybody. Like I've got some gusto, some macho-ness. So he told me, stand up. So that way no one is over one person or the other. So when it comes to talking to a kid, make sure you try to get at their level. You never want to come at them by being too big. Then again, you never want to come at them by being too small. If you're trying to correct a room of campers being loud, don't sit in the chair and do it. Stand up. Hey, I need everyone to pause. I need everyone to sit down for a minute. If you're talking with someone that's upset, maybe get down on their level, like, hey, what's going on? Don't just be, why are you crying? Don't stop crying. Okay. Try and get down to their level. One thing about me, I don't go anywhere without my sunglasses. I have very light sensitivity. So, like, if you see me doing this, or you see me especially doing like this, I promise it's not because I'm weird. I mean, I am weird, but light just really messes with my eyes sometimes, especially when I'm driving. But anytime, like if you're outside doing like this, I think of RoboCop? Like if someone gets, what are you doing? Why was you doing that? Sometimes you like to whip it off. Didn't I tell you to stop? But make sure, give them that eye contact. Because yes, you are in a way either disciplining them or giving them instruction, but you want to connect with them. You want them to know, okay, I see you, do you see me? And there's a stigma between campers and counselors, like, oh, that's my counselor, I have to do what they say. Or, oh, that's my counselor, they told me to get quiet, I'm not doing that. But when you connect with them, when you look at them, that's when you can be like, okay, you develop that connection, and will they listen? 9 times out of 10, probably not. But you connect with them, so then maybe in the future, like, hey, Brittany, I know every day we come in here, you throw all these chairs around the room. Is today going to be the day we don't throw the chairs? And who knows, maybe the day will be Brittany doesn't throw the chairs. But you try to develop that relationship, that connection by getting to their level, obviously taking off any sunglasses. If if you got a lollipop or something around, take it out, that way what did you do? What was you saying? That way you can speak clearly and concisely. And one of my big things is I feel like after working with children now almost 7 years, their children do one of two things. They either hear what you say or they listen to what you say. And there's a big difference. Everyone sort of understand what I mean by that. Like, hey, sit down. I need you to sit down because we're fixing to do chapel. Oh, okay, let me sit down then. Children are so quick to act. Acting comes first for children. Thinking comes second, sometimes third, sometimes 15th. Children are still in their cognitive process of learning. I mean, all of you know it. Some of you sitting here are still in your cognitive process of learning. Almost all of us are. Children especially. So when you say something to children, they might hear what you say, but they're not really listening to what you're saying. It might take some time. So in the same turn is you should make sure you are always listening to the children. Mr. Stephen, Drea is picking on me again. She did this the other day. Oh, okay, Drea, stop picking on her. 15 minutes later, Drea's calling me fat. Boom, 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 boom. Drea, stop. Drea, go sit on the wall for a couple minutes. But when you really start to, okay, Drea, it seems like every day now this person and Dre are having these problems. What's going on? Okay, now it's a case of she's bullying this person. Or if they say something about, again, we go back to the shyness and the awkwardness. It's just, man, I just really don't want to play the game. Oh, well, then fine, just go stand over there. I just really don't want to play the game. Play the game, or you can sit down. Maybe they're looking for that opportunity to do something else, but they're too afraid to say it. So that's why you really need to listen to what children are saying and see how you can act and what you can do for these children. I don't know if it says it up on the screen, forgive me, but there's a great Bible verse there, James 1:19. Understand this, my dear brothers and sisters, you must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. With this verse, I love this verse. I always read it as, you must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and even slower to get angry. Because angry is just a human emotion. It's something that we really can't control. It's something that we have to work on. So when children come up to you with a problem or they're just bothering you, because there are days where they are just going to bother you. You're going to be in a mood, you're going to say this, you're going to do something, and it's just going to get to you. You really should be quick to listen. Hey, can I talk to you about something? Yes, come on over. No, don't worry about it, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, there are moments where we're busy doing something. But you never want to turn away a mouth that needs a listening ear. That's what our campers need from you, is a listening ear. So you always want to be quick to listen, slow to speak, because you always want to think, what is the best course of action for this? What can I say to this child that it's not about getting them to leave me alone or leave someone else alone? What is the best thing to say to help this child in this situation? And like I said, and slow to get angry, or what I like to say is even slower to get angry, because the hardest thing on the job, besides probably getting up early for some of y'all like me this morning, the hardest thing is going to be letting your personal feelings and emotions, your quick time responses to situations, letting them fall to the side. Now, what does that mean? That does not mean getting rid of them completely. That means letting them fall to the side and not allow the actions and your feelings to lead what you are going to say or do to a child. That means, oh God, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. This morning, myself, I woke up a little late, snoozed the alarm about 7 or 8 times, so I'm not afraid to admit it. I have a 40-minute drive from my house here. I get on 85, traffic. I'm like, oh Lordy. I go down a little bit, traffic clears up. What happens? A U-Haul truck is in this lane, an 18-wheeler's in this lane, and the U-Haul truck comes over and clips the back end of the 18-wheeler. Debris flies everywhere. That slows us down even more. And I'm like, man, please just let me get to work. I come up, for those of you again that are familiar with the area, I come up, get off on 101. I come down into downtown Duncan. And wouldn't you know it, who's familiar with this area? Anybody know from downtown Duncan? What's in downtown Duncan? Construction and the train. As soon as I get there, I'm like, Lord, why? But as soon as those words, Lord, why, left my mouth, guess what happened? The caboose of the train, arms went up, traffic kept going. So it's always going to be natural for us to get angry, to get aggravated with things. But we have to let those fall to the side and allow clear, concise thinking and feelings and actions lead and dictate what we tell or instruct a child to do. Always, down there, it's, I don't know, again, I'm not looking at the screen there. When an incident or an accident happens, it gets all sides of the story, If, Mr. Chuck and Miss Bree get into it, and Mr. Chuck comes up and says, Miss Bree just slapped me in the face. I'll be like, wow, Miss Bree, what are you doing? And I'll be like, Bree, how dare you put your hands on people, don't put our hands on people, blah, 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 blah. Didn't God teach you better? Didn't your parents teach you better? Blah, 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 blah. But come to find out, Mr. Chuck put the 1-2 combo on Bree right before she slapped him, and Bree was just getting off, get off me. Oh, so there's more to this story. So, we're all going to have our favorites. That's natural. We're all going to have kids that's like, man, I really don't want to deal with this kid today. But we cannot allow our feelings or our favorites or our disfavorites to cloud an incident-related situation. So if 2 people are involved in an incident, we always have to take both sides in this. Okay, Miss Bree, you have a history of slapping people, so but Mr. Chuck was egging it on and you were doing it in defense. Ooh, okay, so what are we going to do there? So you always want to make sure you're getting every single side to the story. Children want to be heard. Trust me, like the Austin Potters talking in chapel. You know, I'm sure we have kids at Taylor's that talk during chapel. They just want to be heard. They might not be making no sense, but they just want you to hear their voice. They just want someone to listen. And then you have to think, maybe they don't get that at home. There are some kids that go home and they're in their rooms, and and it breaks my heart that they don't have any any mentor figures in their life. So they just want to come and they just want to listen. Children want to be heard. So if there's a situation going on, make sure you listen to all children involved there. Children tend to feel invisible when we don't listen. Not only invisible, but they shut down and then they build that wall back up between you and them, and then there is no breaking that wall down. Because you, instead of doing the necessary things to make sure that wall doesn't get too high, now at this point the wall's just gotten unclimbable, and you'll be forever climbing trying to get back into the good graces of that camper. One of the biggest things, please keep these kids safe. I am a huge believer in the simple fact of these children is somebody else's whole world. I don't have any children of myself except the 40 that we have inside. But I have a niece and a nephew, and I think every day, what if something happened to them? And it breaks my heart to think that. But that's how I interact with children is, okay, if my niece and my nephew were at a different summer camp, I would want someone to take care of them the way I take care of these campers, and vice versa. Because I know that these children is someone's whole world. They are looking for this child to come home tonight, to get in the car, to get around the dinner table and tell them all about their day. They are looking for that safety, that reassurance that their child's going to come to coast, and yeah, we're going to be on site, yeah, we're going to get on a bus, yeah, we're going to go 75 miles down 85 to Gaffney. Yeah, we're going to go around Big E, which is a big entertainment complex with multiple people from the public there. But guess what? Coast to Coast is on top of their game. They're going to get my child there safely. They're going to keep my child safe. They're going to get my child back, and then I'm going to be able to see my baby tonight. That right there, if you are not worried or concerned about anything else, that fact should be the one that sticks in your head. Is these children are other people's whole entire lives. And think, if it was you, if you had children, or nieces and nephews, cousins, how would you feel if they went to another summer camp? What would you want that staff member to do? Be aware of your surroundings. Obviously, let's use this room for an example. What's behind me? I see a drum set. I guess that's a guitar right there. So this, to me, it would probably be pretty expensive equipment. Back there where Mr. Mike is sitting back there in the control booth, I'm sure those are very expensive laptops and sound equipment. If we were in this room here playing a game, do you think I should let the kids up here onto the stage? Why not, Chris?
The instruments are often expensive.
Perfect. And what's going to happen within the first 5 minutes, Jake Michelle? Boom, 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 or the guitar's going bam, zoom, and it's going to be a mess. What's going to happen, Dakota, if I'm up here playing a game right here and not watching, and kids go back there where Mr. Mike is in the control booth? What do you think is going to happen?
They're going to be flipping switches. They're going to be unplugging.
They're going to be playing all kind of inappropriate music. They'll figure it out in 5 seconds. It would take me 10 days to figure that stuff out. They'd be playing, Gucci Mane. Is he still relevant, Gucci Mane? I don't know if I'm showing my age or not, but they would have everything broken and everything. So you have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to know. When we're in the parking lot, we'll go through this later when we do transportation stuff. When we're loading and getting on the bus in the parking lot, you have to make sure that there are no cars coming. If the bus is where that big old speaker there is, and here's the door, and this right here is a lane of traffic that cars can go through to get into the parking lot, you have to be aware of that. You cannot stand there and say, y'all go get on the bus, I'm making sure all these kids come out and go. Because what's going to happen? The very unfortunate reality of our world today. This was back in November, I drive the big school buses. So I took the big school bus to one of our middle schools to load, and I'm going 5 miles an hour down the loading zone beside the big yellow school buses, which I'm sure if you've been to pick up at a school, you've dealt with the school buses there. And I was coming down, and in the split second, a kid ran in between the school buses and ran right out in front of me in my 72-passenger school bus. I'm not joking, as close as I am to Dakota. That quickly, the kid ran right out in front of me. I slammed on the brakes, thank the good Lord that the good Lord had the wheel. I was just sitting in the seat, and that didn't happen. But you know why that happened? Because the staff there were not watching. They were over by, I didn't even see a staff member there. They were not aware of their surroundings and what these children were doing. So definitely be aware, scan, know where you're going, know where you're exiting from. Like if you're on site, know where, okay, you know, if a fire happens, or God forbid, if someone comes in this building that's not supposed to, where are we going to go? Okay, I see that exit there. Ooh, I see an exit there. Let me see, is there anything else up here off the stage? I see a door over there. We could possibly go out that way. So make sure you're aware of your exits. Make sure you know how you're going in. You're going out of a building. Make sure you keep your campers safe. Again, in a room like this, if we were playing in this room, know the areas that would be off limits. I would not allow people to be up here on the stage and playing the guitars and the drums. I would not allow people to be back there in the control booth, breaking all the computers and everything. You know, so be aware of those rooms. Take the time. Be cognizant of where you are. Don't just be somewhere. Be cognizant of where you are. Keep your children safe. And obviously, one more big thing about that. When we go out, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every week we're going somewhere. Water parks, Chuck E. Cheese, Big E. The world is a scary place nowadays, unfortunately. There are a bunch of strange people. And I'm not talking about myself. There are a bunch of other strange people. There are people, unfortunately, and it's just the way that the world works, that prey on little children, little girls, little boys. We are going to be going places to where there is going to be people out in public. There's going to be other families at the water park. There's going to be families bringing their children to Chuck E. Cheese. There's going to be other people there. If you don't know somebody, don't let your children around them. Do not let your children go off to see somebody. Oh, that's my dad. I'm not sure about that. Oh, that's my best friend's baby mama's daddy's friend's dog owner's brother. Well, why don't you stay over here? We'll let them stay over there. Do not let your children go near somebody. And then again, don't let anybody come near your children. Obviously, if there's an issue like that, call your director, myself, Mr. Ed, Mr. Dustin, Mr. Micah. You know, get one of the directors' help, but make sure you're not allowing your children to go near somebody, or do the best of your ability to not allow someone to come near your children. If you see something, say something. You know, it could be nothing. It could be, you know, Ethan's mama's here to pick him up, and you know she's over there. Ethan, come here. Ethan, oh, she looks kind of weird. No, that's his mama. But if you say something, regardless of what happens, that's the right thing to do. It could be a mom. It could be a dad. But if you say something, there is no issue. Hey, there's somebody over there calling Ethan's name over there. Oh, that's his mom. You know, I'll go handle it. But the one time you don't do that, it's going to be someone, hey, good boy, come here. And then I'm sure we can all imagine what happens then. So if you see something, say something there. Stay with your kids, please. If you don't know by now, because I know there's a lot of new people and everything that's been going on and getting ready for staff training and everything, you should never leave a group of children unattended, because what's going to happen then? Justin, what do you think will happen? What is one thing that could happen if you leave a group of children alone? Run off? Brittany, what's something else that could happen? Exactly. Start 1-2 combo with people, Mr. Chuckin'. Drea, what's another thing that could happen if you leave a group of campers by themselves? Say, oh, I really have to go to the bathroom. Y'all play in here, bathroom's right there. Just, I'll be right back. What's something else that could happen if you leave a group of campers?
Well, they can get hurt, obviously.
Yeah. See, Mr. Chuck, he's talking about hurting people. You see that? Okay. What about this? What if, let's say Hope, and I'm not picking on Hope, but let's say Hope's hungry. I said, you know what, get a snack out if you got it, I'm going to the bathroom. Hope brings out a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. She sits down in that chair next to Jed and Michelle. And Jed and Michelle, if you are, I apologize. I did not know. Let's say Jed and Michelle is very highly, extremely allergic to peanut butter. What happens if she's like, yeah, I'll have a bite. What is it? Oh, I don't know, it's just a sandwich. Bite, anaphylactic shock. Stuff like that. Stuff like medical emergencies. Stuff like hitting people. Stuff like running off. That's what could happen if we don't have eyes on our children. And then think, how would you feel if something happened then? If you walked off, if you're like, oh, I got a phone call. Hey, babe, what's up? Oh, no, I'm just hanging out with these little kids. You know, what's going on? You turn around and 2 kids are down on the floor like that. I'm like, babe, I'm not calling back to say, get up. All these things could happen, but if you're watching, now I'm not saying that if something like this happens, you're responsible for saving a life. Obviously, you know, you would want to do something. Hey, help! Somebody get some help. Obviously, I'm not saying this to make you seem like you have to wear this pressure or stress. But what it is you want to make sure you're staying with your kids so we don't create these situations where something can happen. So yes, you'll be in a room with kids. You might be the only one. You might have another counselor in there. We might all be gathered together for chapel to where there's a lot of counselors. You might be on the bus with 2 or 3 other counselors. Those are moments when, hey, I really need to use the bathroom. Can I go real fast? That's when, hey, Rebecca, you know, you and I are in the video game room. Do you mind just keeping an eye on them? I'm gonna run to the bathroom. I'll be real fast. That's fine. As long as somebody else as long as you have coverage, that's what matters. But the other thing, I'll say one more thing. When stuff like that happens, oh, yes, I need to use the bathroom. Go use the bathroom and then come on back. That's not the time to go to the bathroom and chill and check TikTok and Instagram, call your boyfriend, call your girlfriend, order dinner, order takeout. You go and you come back. That way you're not leaving it all on one counselor there. So you'll learn, I'm sure Ed or Dustin or myself will talk more about ratio. If you don't know what ratio means, that means the number of campers to the number of staff. That is one of the most important things that we do from an admin business side is maintain ratio. Raise your hand if you've ever worked at the front desk or sat at the front desk here at any site. Okay, so y'all know what I'm talking about when I say the words, the ratio report. That means we're keeping track of how many kids are here to how many staff. So you always want to make sure if you are in the video game room and they're doing options and there's 15 kids in the room, perfect, got this, 15 kids watching it, y'all playing Mario Kart, perfect. Hey, can I send 3 more down there, 15 plus 18? Sure, come on in. Then let's say you go over here, you're playing, you know, Minecraft. Hey, can I send 5 more down there? Yeah, send 5 more down here. Hey, you got room for 4 down there? Yeah, I can take 4 down here. Now you're up to what, 26, 27? That is too high. So you always want to be cognizant of how many campers you have in a certain area. So you never want to go, I know at Taylor's, you know, we are sort of bound at Taylor's to never go above a 1 to 20. You know, so sometimes your director will say, hey, we've got 30 kids, we've got 3 options, let's not go above like 12 or 13 in each room, that way we can keep them spread out. You want to be cognizant of that. Okay, I've got 9 in here, so I can take about 4 or 5 more, and then if you take the 4 or 5 more, let's say Dre is like, hey, can I send more to the video game room? Don't be like, no, you cannot. Be like, I'm full right now. I'll let you know if some leave or if I need to switch some. So just be cognizant of the ratio fact there. Let's see. Know where your kids are at all times, please. If they're going to the bathroom, obviously, it's been 10 minutes. Where's little Billy at? He's been in the bathroom for a while. Oh, well, little Billy went to the bathroom, then he came down the hall, he went in the activity room to talk to Mr. Justin, then he came out, he went to the movie room to talk to Mr. Chuck, and now he's just now coming back down the hallway. You know, so know where they are. Never send a camper anywhere that you don't have eyes on, or someplace that you can't see or that you do not know. Okay, so know where your campers are at all times, please. Discipline, obviously, Mr. Ed did a great job and a fantastic devotion on discipline and everything like that. Don't yell at them, don't call them names. You know, obviously, there is a borderline between being fun and being joking with children and then being flat out mean, demeaning, or putting a child down. So obviously that takes some maneuvering through, but do not yell, don't call the kids names. I don't tend to yell, but I was a school bus driver for 6 years, so I have a very loud voice just because I had to shout 40 feet behind me. It's 5th and 6th graders. But obviously raising your voice is going to be something that might happen. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to signal somebody out and yell, like, Ethan, you're so stupid. Why are you doing that? It would be different to say, Ethan, what did I say? Sit down. There's a difference there. So make sure it's the emotion and the affliction in which you're using to reprimand the child there. The discipline process, again, like I said, I'm sorry, and maybe up on the screen, Micah, I'm sure is doing a great job, but I'm just reading from the manual here. If you're following through, we're on page 71. There's a few different discipline processes. Obviously, you don't want to start out too extreme and end too soft. Then again, you want to tend to start out more on the soft side, and then as the actions or anything, if they progress, then you want to move more towards the extreme side, or just pick them up and body slam them from the get-go, kid. Verbal warnings, obviously, hey, please don't do that, hey, please don't do that, hey. We've done that 3 times now. If you do it again, you're going to sit out. Sentences are something that I'm sure you have noticed that we do across the sites. Hey, you're going to write 5-10 sentences about what you're doing, what you're not going to do. You can do, what I like to do is, hey, y'all just ate snack bar, this room's a mess, ain't nobody going nowhere till y'all pick up 5 pieces of trash. Oh, then the kids will be like, I'm going to pick up 20 pieces of trash. I'm going to pick up 50 pieces of trash. Go right ahead, because that's the goal. So make it a game with them, allow them to go around and clean up the room. That's less on you, and it's something for the children to do. It's not too extreme, but then again, it is making sure, hey, y'all left this mess, go ahead and clean it up. Remove it from the event. Obviously, that anytime that you're going to do something like that or take away privileges, that's really something that you want to consult your director on. Obviously, if we're going somewhere and you're not going to be able to sit down and play at Chuck E. Cheese. Obviously, that's something you want to talk to myself, Mr. Ed, Mr. Dustin, Mr. Michael, whoever's in charge there. Talk with them when it gets more, like I said, when it gets more towards the extreme side. Talk with them not because it's just, I don't want Dakota telling them they can't. I want to tell them they can't play at Chuck E. Cheese. But it's more of when it's getting more severe, that's when the repercussions, the backlash, the liability starts to increase, and we want to make sure we cover y'all. So obviously, when it comes to stuff like that, write-ups, everything, camp suspensions, obviously that comes from a director's standpoint there. So be a Jesus freak. Now, Mr. Dustin pointed on it earlier, and I think it is important because it is the truth. All of us are at different walks in our life. We're at different points on this race. If we were all supposed to be at the same point in this race, I don't think that's the purpose of this life. We're supposed to learn things at different times. We're supposed to interpret things at different times, just like our children. But don't be afraid to share the gospel with these children. The parent, I guarantee you, is probably not going to come and say, I didn't know Coast to Coast Christian Camps, who teaches chapel every day, taught the kids about Jesus. I mean, they sort of know that coming in. Now, I'll give it to you. We have a child at our camp right now. His name is Asher. Very nice child. At home, it's sort of a battle. His mom, not religious. Very nice lady. It's not like she comes in and says, Jesus, Satan. She just comes in and she has been open and honest with me before. She doesn't really believe that. And, hey, that's her walk. She's walking that life. All I can do is try and encourage her from not only a gospel and a word of God standpoint, but also as a fellow human being. She doesn't believe in that. Grandma, on the other hand, who comes to pick Asher up about half the week, she's told me, my daughter doesn't believe in Jesus, and I want him to know about Jesus. And I told her, well, ma'am, we teach the children about Jesus here. Whether or not they take it, whether or not they go home, whether or not his mama gets into it, obviously that is on them. But we are fulfilling our goals not only as employees, but our goals as servants of the Lord by sharing his word with these people. So what grandma does is, grandma told me the other day, she was like, what time do you do chapel? I was like, we typically start about 4 o'clock every day. And grandma was like, I'm going to come get him at 4:45, 5 o'clock every day. Because mom comes to get him like 3:45 every day. So you will always have that, which some children don't want to learn about God. Some parents don't want to learn about God, but you are here to share the word of God with these children. It is not your job or duty to make sure that these kids know every Bible verse, that they go to heaven. Your job is to share the word of God with these children. because, like our mission statement says, it's about to develop these relationships so that they and their families can come into a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. But we always want to push them in the right direction by saying, yeah, I don't know if God would be too proud of that, oh, this, that, Share the scripture with them. If they're struggling, if they're hurting, if they're just going through it, share some gospel with them. Say, hey, I know about this one verse, and it says, oh, boom, or this story about, hey, I read about this story one time. If you tell them a story, they'll be like, yeah, and then for some you'll say, and that's from the Bible, and they'll be like, oh, from the Bible. But don't be afraid to share the word of God with these children. That is your job. It's never going to be a wrong time or wrong place or anything like that. Stuff like that. So just some miscellaneous information there. Act your age, obviously. Now, again, I said earlier, I love the opportunity to be childish, to be innocent with these children. So yes, it is about having fun, but also remember, you are an adult. These are children. We hear about it all the time. We're not here to be best friends or to be close or, Lord willing, Lord forgive me, but even romantic towards these children. Obviously, we need to make sure we remember these are children. We are adults. We are trusted to be their caregivers and be in charge of these children there. You'll learn more. I can't remember who's doing it. Mr. Ed might be doing it later, but you'll learn more about Team Lines on how we do that. Pretty much any time before we go somewhere to get a head count of how many campers we have, we do what we call Team Lines. Like I said, I won't get too much into that because, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's either Mr. Ed or Mr. Dustin's going to touch on that later. Y'all, trust me. I looked the other day, and if you have an iPhone, raise your hand if you have an iPhone in here. You know what I love, but I also just hate? Every week when they send you the screen time report on the iPhone, they're like, oh, you spent this amount of time on your phone. Last week it was like 5 hours a day for me. I was like, Lord, that's way too much. I can understand where this is almost a necessary crutch in the world that we live in nowadays. But when you're on the job, you don't need this as a crutch. Now, there will be times where you do use your phone to use Brightwell, and we'll get into Brightwell later today. I don't want it to seem like I'm pushing past all these things, but I don't want to take up too much time when we have time to go later to these. There will be times where you are going to use Brightwell to check kids in, or you are going to be like, oh, Dakota, she's doing such a good job. Let me take a picture and send it to my director so they can post it on social media. That's okay. But what we don't want to see Mr. Stephen, Mr. Chuck just got Mr. Chuck and Miss Bree are going at it again. Oh, I'm sorry, snap. Because then you miss it. Or when we're on the bus, hey babe, I'm just on this. It's so hot out today. I'm on this bus. These kids just go out, as always. Oh, what's that? Oh, I'm sorry. You don't want to be on your phone as you would be in your private lives at work. Okay, so just remember that. Also, and again, camp has a no cell phone policy too. So kids don't have cell phones. There will be times where you will need your cell phone to use it for something, but other than that, just keep it outside, please. If we continue to see it, we will inevitably take it from you there. Staff, attire-wise, all of you either have or will get a badge. Wear your badge every day. Wear your beautiful camp shirt that definitely does not shrink in the dryer or get stains on it from random things. We were just talking about that earlier outside. That's why I brought that up.
Did the shirt shrink or did the belly grow?
It's definitely the belly growing on this end. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I also do like to blame the shirt as well. And then bottoms-wise, obviously, we work with children. I get it. It's hot. Trust me, when I came to work here, one of my favorite things was I got to wear shorts every day. Ladies, I know you wear, I think capris to the knee, is that it? The capris, or you wear leggings and everything. We want to make sure that all of our private areas are covered and that it's not being flaunted or anything. Not that you would, but you have to remember we do have adolescent boys here. So make sure anything like that, make sure your shirt comes down, covers it. Make sure you're wearing appropriate bottoms and leggings or anything like that. But make sure you got your badge and your camp shirt on. Let's see. Know where your first aid kit is. Every site has multiple first aid kits. I don't think we have one here, obviously, because we wouldn't need it. But you will see red first aid bags that you may be instructed to carry as a counselor. It just has the first aid kit in it. So know that, and make sure if you are entrusted with carrying the first aid bag, it is your responsibility to make sure that that gets off site and gets back on site in one piece, or as many pieces as can come back. Medication-wise, mainly that lies with the director. There's a lot more processes behind that and everything like that. Have a positive attitude, y'all. Trust me, there are some days where I'm like, man, I don't want to work today. I just want to go home to my bed. I don't want to deal with children today, stuff like that. But every morning that every morning that the good Lord wakes you up, that was not your choice. That was the Lord's choice to wake you up. So you don't get a choice in that. But what you get a choice in is how you go about your day. And yes, all of us in this room were crazy enough to say, oh yes, Lord, I would just love to go spend my days with 200 kids in the heat during the summer. But when you wake up in the morning, you have that choice of, man, am I going to let this be a bad day, or am I going to let this be a good day? What that looks like throughout the rest of the day, who knows? God knows. But He is looking for us to take that first step of the day that He so graciously provided to us, that He didn't have to. He didn't have to wake any of us up this morning, but He did. And that's the first thing I thank the Lord for every single morning, is giving me this day. You have the choice every morning to decide, man, am I going to go to work and be a grumpy grouch and I hate working here? Or are you going to make the choice to come to work and say, man, I don't know what this day's going to hold, but I'm along for the ride. Hopefully, it is the latter. But hey, sometimes we have bad days, y'all. But we always should remember we have that choice every single morning that the Lord wakes us up. Just a little bit, hugs. Obviously, kids, how tall are kids? Probably right about there. And it's just, they're gonna come up on the back. We need to make sure that we are trying our best to, hey, hip into the hug, hey, or, stuff like that. You never want them to, obviously protect yourself when it comes to the privates or the rear there. And please, for the love of all that is holy in this world, don't let kids sit on your lap. I get it. Yes, hug them. Oh, you okay, baby? It's okay. But never be sitting in a chair and put a child on your lap, or sitting on the floor and let a child sit in your lap. Trust me, they're children. They look for that physical attraction to people. They're going to want to. But that's when you just say no. But don't pick the kid up and walk around with them. Don't do them piggybacks, because the Lord knows what's going to happen. They're going to fall off. Boom, the skull's going to hit the ground like that. And we don't want to deal with that. So you just keep them 2 feet on the floor there. Just stay connected with your kids, y'all. I know that some of this stuff you're like, okay, this is okay. We can be a counselor. That seems easy enough. But really, it is about connecting with these children. That's our mission statement, to really try and develop relationships with these individuals. We don't know where they're going to go in their lives. They could go every single which way. But we are entrusted right now to take care of these children through our physical actions, through our words, through the Word of God, and everything like that.